meeting after practice, and Bill's like, "Where's Hoyer?" And I'm kind of lingering in the back. I walk forward. He's like, "How do you expect our team to have a good practice when you come out here and completely suck it off?" And I was like,
get to New England, there's 15 personnel groups. So you have to like remember where you change on everything.
Yep.
And then the formations and then all the concepts. And so for guys like us, undrafted 7th round, like you couldn't afford to fuck up a rep.
That's right.
Like, or you thought you were getting cut.
Yeah.
And there were so little reps for us that like it was a Super Bowl anytime you got a rep in practice when the big dogs were watching.
That's right.
And
I remember being in there like late OTAs, and all of a sudden out of nowhere, Bill puts me in with the first team offense.
Yeah.
And I'm like, holy shit, Moss,
Yeah.
Ben Watson, Welker, like all these guys. And I'm like, don't fuck this up.
Yeah.
And I remember we ran like a shake route, and I hit Ben Watson up the seam, and I was like, all right. And you almost forget, like, you got to go to the next play. But you were like, that was kind of a welcome to the NFL moment. Here I am undrafted, working my way up, and out of nowhere, wasn't planned.
Yeah.
You're in there with the big dogs.
Yeah. I know. It's 1,000. And well, people forget, you know who the quarterback Hoy beat out to be the backup? Kevin O'Connell.
Yeah.
Head coach of the Minnesota Vikings.
KOC. He's doing a tremendous job.
How about him?
He's done an amazing job. I don't know how much, I mean, clearly with Fox, you're probably staying up on this, but just seeing the behind the scenes interaction he has with his team.
Yeah.
Like that's the type of coach you want to play for.
He was always like that. He was always, I remember, because we used to hang out, me, him, Slate, Wendy.
Yeah.
You would come in there, but it was still a little weird with the backup. You guys, you know what I mean? So I had different groups, and he was always really great at like the camaraderie of the group.
Which is so important.
And the mental toughness. I don't know how it was in your guys' room, but like he knew he wasn't better than you. I remember, I don't know if he thought, I saw it, but I don't think there was any like animosity between you guys. And that takes a lot. And that's shown in his coaching that, that mental toughness to do what's best for the team.
Yeah.
No, it's crazy that he just got rid of Sam Darnold, who had 14 wins.
I know. And that's a lot in
that's
JJ
mental
McCarthy.
toughness.
That is mental toughness.
That's mental toughness, believing what's best for the team.
That's right.
What he thinks. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, it was Kevin was great, and thankfully we still have a good relationship and talk from time to time. But quarterback room's unique. Only one guy gets to play. You know what I mean? I think it's probably the one room where things can be really tight and really good, or there's times where it can be a little friction. You know what I mean? And you try to just handle it the best way you can. I'm a non-confrontational person by heart. So I always want to make sure I get along with the people in the room and do the best you can to do that.
No, I always explain to people what I think the role of the backup quarterback is. And I always bring it to you.
Yep.
Like when Hoyer was a backup quarterback for Tom, like it's not just, okay, you got to be ready to play. It's like a shoulder for Tom to lean on, a guy that he can talk to with his problems. Like it's a whole different dynamic. It's like you have to put so many different caps on as a backup quarterback. He's got to get the scout team going. He's got to make sure that the coaches are giving the quarterback, like there's so many communication levels. Can you explain that dynamic of a backup quarterback?
I mean, I look at my time backing Tom up in two separate eras, really, because the first 3 to 4 years I was just learning. I mean, I look back now, Jules, and you mentioned beating out Kevin O'Connell. Like that was the year after Tom come back from this huge ACL injury. There was no way I was ready to play.
Yeah.
I mean, I look back at like how little I knew, where I was fundamentally. My fundamentals weren't very good. And, just by good performance, I ended up being the backup. But those first 3 to 4 years, I didn't really do much for Tom. I mean, I was just learning, just soaking it all in. And, it was more like just be ready to play and don't get in his way.
Yeah.
But then, I go off, I play a lot of football, different teams, learn about myself as a player, get better, and then came back in 2017. And I felt like I actually could provide some assistance to him. Like, hey, when I was playing in San Francisco, we ran this play. Or, I really learned about zone coverage from Kyle Shanahan. Like, this is how that Seattle 3 is trying to play. And we had a different relationship at that point, which was great. But you're right. Like at that point, he was a little bit older. Remember, I was practicing almost every Wednesday, sometimes Thursdays, which was great for me because I got the reps. And that made me really believe that I'd be ready to play if I had to. But it was a different role then. It was less like mentor, learning. It was more like I'm here with him and I'm helping with ideas. He's coming over the sideline. What'd you see on that play? I didn't really get asked that a lot, first 3 years of my career from him.
It reminds me a lot, like with that situation. It's like a head coach that gets fired that becomes a DC OC on a team.
Yep.
It's so great for that head coach that hires him to be able to bounce ideas off each other because he has experience of running the ship. Mm-hmm. He knows through his experience of different situations, which you had that experience as a starting quarterback, that you could say, hey, Tom, when we played him like this, that's just such a huge help for a quarterback. Information is gold. And that's what you were when I saw you as a backup. You had great information. Whenever there was like those Wednesday, Thursday practices that Tom, if he didn't want to, if he, he was getting that whatever, like the offense still clicked. We could still get work done. It wasn't like it was we couldn't get the play call. No. We couldn't get the right throw.
And early on, I don't know if you remember this, but there was an instant, probably like first, second year, Moss was still there. So it had to be first season. And it was late in November, early December. It was cold as shit. The wind was howling. We were in a stadium practice and Tom had to take the day off.
That was the playoff game?
So this is the first, I know what you're talking about. That's when he fucked his thumb up. Yeah. But this is like our rookie year. And Tom had to take the day off. He was nursing an injury, whatever it was. And I went out there. I probably completed 50% of the passes. And we pull up the team meeting after practice, and Bill's like, "Where's Hoyer?" And I'm kind of lingering in the back. I walk forward. He's like, "How do you expect our team to have a good practice when you come out here and completely suck it off?" And I was like, oh shit. But it was literally like one of those practices where you went to throw a go ball and the wind just carried it out of bounds. Yeah. And it was not my finest moment, but that was probably one of the first times I ever had to step in for Tom.
Fantasy football season is back, and building a league-winning roster shouldn't keep you up all night. Your team might be one waiver wire pick away from complete domination or one injury away from utter disaster. You can lose sleep over it, or you can put those worries to bed with Unisom. Unisom helps you fall asleep faster, wake up less, and feel refreshed in the morning. It's the #1 doctor and pharmacist recommended over-the-counter sleep aid brand. Unisom and I also have you covered on the fantasy front. Check out my socials and the episode description for my Unisom sleeper picks to learn which sleeper you'll want to stash on your roster to help you bring home the championship. And be sure to pick up Unisom too. Use as directed.
But to your point, you go back, and now I come back in 2017. That was what I had been accustomed to. I've been a starter in 3 different places, so I knew what it was like to go out and have a good practice and make sure the team kept running, which, it was great work for me. It was great for Tom to get the rest he needed, the recovery. And to your point, I never wanted practice to take a step down.
Yeah, you can't. Was it the most Bill ever gave you something? Was that like the biggest one?
I mean, there was a few in those low light meetings. There was the one, remember Tom broke his middle finger messing around with Isaiah Stanback before the Miami game our rookie year.
Yeah.
And I was like, there's no way this dude's playing, like broken middle finger. But, there was Alex working on it, and he ended up playing. We lost down in Miami. He threw for like 350 yards. And so the next day I was doing
Miami.
I know. I was doing an event at Reebok, like a charity event. And some reporter was there. It was like, hey, we saw Tom's was on the injury report. Like, did you think you were going to have to play? And I basically said, like, look, like Tom's as tough as they come. I knew he was going to be ready to go, blah, blah, blah. The next day in meetings, Bill's like, why don't you just let Tom speak for himself and you just worry about yourself? Like, you don't need to, are you in his body? Do you know how his finger felt? And so, I mean, you learn real quick.
I mean, Hoy, if anyone would be in Tom's body,
no,
it would be Hoyer. It would be Hoyer.
Hey, I don't know. Look, I didn't follow him out to California.
That's called a business decision.
Hey, I already said. Look, there's not two people more who followed Tom around more than you and I. And like I said, I think it was a wise. We played
1,000%.
forever. I learned so much and was able to implement it when I played, which is why I played as long as I did. You became, his go-to receiver, the guy he trusted, Super Bowl MVP. So those were wise business decisions. Yeah. People can hate on us all they want. But I think the resumes speak for themselves. And to your point, when you're an aspiring athlete, you find someone who's doing it the right way. And luckily for us, it wasn't just Tom. We had guys like Matt Light, who I know you had in here, Kevin Falk, Brewski. Yeah. I mean, so many guys that we could watch as young players and say, that's the right way to do it.
1000%. And what's it like watching film with Tom? What did you take from watching film in the quarterback room with Tom Brady that you took on when you became a starter, or that you used when you were a backup, or anything? How was film session with Tom Brady?
It's amazing how he sees film. You know what I mean? And as a young player, you come in and I'm like, all right, I'm going to watch this film. I'm going to watch like the offensive plays. Like, no, he's watching for techniques of corners. He's like, all right, the star's inside. That's giving me the read that it's going to be cover 2. Now he's outside. It's going to probably be cover 3. I mean, the depth of which he would watch film and the things that he would find, like I said, to me, that first time I backed him up was learning mode. And so then when I went out and had an opportunity to be a starter of my own, it gave me a good foundation of how I wanted my routine to be. How, like, okay, I know early in the week, he's just going to watch a bunch of games. And then when it gets to Wednesday, he's getting the cut-ups of early downs. And then Wednesday night, it's third down. You know, you're breaking it down. It's a lot to take in. And then the other thing too, I remember as a rookie, I forget who we were playing. I'm like, oh, I'm going to watch this game. He's like, don't waste your time with that. Their offense is absolutely different from ours. Like the way that the Ravens played them is going to be totally different. You got to find teams that run a similar system to us or similar play calls.
What does Scarnecchio say?
Do business as business is being done.
Fellas, it's the same cars, just different license plates.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. But it's funny, like, for me, growing up in our system, in our offense, and then the first time I went out, I played for Kyle Shanahan, completely different.
Completely Explain
different.
The differences between the Charlie Weiss system that evolved to the McDaniels, Billy O, whatever you want to call it, and the West Coast system that came from Bill Walsh and his running stance, Shanahan and all that shit.
We could turn this into a 4-hour show if we wanted to. But honestly, the one thing that was unique about my career was I played in the 3 family trees. There's the Earhart-Perkins system. There's the West Coast, the Bill Walsh. And then there's the North Turner, kind of the Air Coryell system. And I got a taste of them all. But the thing about the Patriot system, it really put the onus on the players. Right? They taught you how to react. They taught you how to think for yourselves. And you went out there and we had alerts, we had audibles, we had change the protection,
changing
routes, all of these things. Whereas the West Coast is really, you talk about, they're the same, what is it, same license plates, they're just changing the number. Like, it's a lot of the same plays, but they dress them up a lot of different ways.
Motions,
shifts,
personnel groups.
Yeah, try to make the defense communicate late, but really run the same plays.